So today we're going to talk about 10 mistakes people make, and that's why you don't get the job. And we want to save you from yourself, so we're going to give you 10 steps for success. I'm Dr. J.
I'm Dr. C.
And welcome to Two Doc Minds. So today we're just going to have a conversation, Dr. C and I, around interviews and some tips. We're going to try to give you about 10 tips for success. And you know, a lot of this information that you're going to get is from over 2 decades. But one of the things that, you know, we want to talk about is just, I think I've interviewed at least 500 to 600 people throughout my career, and I've hired probably over 1,000 people through my career in various roles that reported under me. So, and I know, Dr. C, you have a lot.
I've had some similar experiences, but mostly associated with working and partnering with other organizations, or hiring small staff or nonprofit organizations, or, you know, overseeing an accounting department. But definitely had some similar involvement in hiring and talking to people and looking and recruiting for the right talent.
So that's the experience that you're going to get from myself and Dr. C.
Yes.
And what we found out is people sometimes do it well, sometimes they don't know, sometimes they do. So we're going to let you know what it is to be successful. And we're going to try to give you 10 steps. We're going to try our best.
Yes, this is a very intense look in the actual interview itself and what you may want to share and may not want to share with the person that's interviewing you.
Yeah. So one of the things that you just want to be mindful first, just before we get into our 10 steps, don't talk too long. If you're taking 10 minutes, 12 minutes to answer a question, are you halfway through a 30-minute interview or hour-long interview and you're on question 1 or 2, I guarantee you will not get the job.
That's not on our list.
It's not on the list, but I just got
something important to keep in mind.
It ain't on the list, but
yes,
I didn't heard people talk.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, they weren't getting a job. You talk too much.
Well, Dr. J, can I ask you, when they were talking so much about whatever was interesting to them, what was going on in your mind?
If in person, I was just trying to keep my head from hitting the table. And then remotely, I was ready to take myself off of camera and go use the restroom.
Oh, right? Wow.
I mean, it's just really frustrating. So I wouldn't say that's one of our top 10 tips to avoid, but that's definitely
a pet peeve.
It's the foundation of an interview. Don't talk too long, practice.
Gotcha.
So let's talk about number 1.
Okay, let's talk about number 1. So number 1, personal information. Do not provide too many personal details during an interview. Why is this the case?
I don't know. You know, don't be talk. You know, I wouldn't be talking about my significant other, my mother. And if I'm getting a story, right, I'm going to have a story that's well rehearsed, well planned, and is associated with the mission, vision, goals of the organization, right? So I can tie it into the interview. But by no means I'm going to just start talking about personal information in my life, because some people sometimes you think the normal thing that you do is normal. Like, for example, I've seen, you know, folks, you know, take pets to a restaurant. And I know that may be taboo, and I don't want it. I'm not judging at all.
No.
I'm just saying there's no judgment zone. But some people are okay with that, right? And then there are other people like, I don't do that when I'm eating, right? And so even though you think it's normal,
right,
someone else doesn't think it's normal. And then what will happen is you may lose out on an opportunity, just not because you're not a great candidate, is because they seen you in a different light, and they may say, you know, I just don't want to work with them, and they don't meet my visions, values of the organization or so. So I guess that's a few reasons why I would be very mindful of not doing that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Personal information is essential. As we proceed through this whole entire conversation, these are all things that your potential employer, partner, or whoever is willing to hire you is going to have to know over time. They're going to learn about your personal information eventually if you work with them long enough. But we're discussing what should be typically revealed during the conversation or during the interview itself. And personal details should be limited. It should be very strategic. It should be very straightforward. And it should play to your strengths.
I agree. I don't even know if I have much more to add besides, you know, stay away from too many personal details about your life. It's just, I think it's just a good standard to say. What do we have for number 2?
Number 2, the reason you're looking for a new job.
All right. So I had an incident whereby someone came into a job interview and said, the reason why I'm looking for a job is because I don't like my boss, because my boss is an asshole. or my company culture, it's terrible, right? And on the surface, that may be ring true in a sense, because it may be a toxic boss, it may be, company culture, it may be a lot of things. But on the external, you got to think about it. These people that you're talking to, in many cases, you never knew, you never met, you have no background about. And so they're looking at you as you're a stranger, and they can't tie through all the stories that you can say in a 2, 3, 4 minute interview response. So what you want to do is really not lie, but just say, right now it's a great time for me to pivot. Right. There's a lot of opportunities at this organization that I see. It's an organization where I feel like I can have even more growth, and I'm excited about contributing to your organization and providing your value add than dogging a past employer. It's like, dogging a past girlfriend and thinking that your new girlfriend is going to like that. Well, no, they probably think that you're going to do the same thing and have the same issues when you get to my organization. So you just want to be careful.
Yes, I agree with you, Dr. J. I've had instances where I sat on interview panels and someone had shared very personal details about why they were seeking new employment. And in my mind, I was listening to them and I was like, oh, don't do this. I was liking this interview up until this point. Show restraint, but really as the interviewer, you have to also consider that you have to use an unbiased viewpoint when listening to somebody's story. But from the interviewer.
How difficult is it to be unbiased though?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Everybody has a bias.
Right.
And everybody will say, no, I'm going into this interview unbiased.
Right.
But in some way, shape, or form, you have a bias.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, but as a professional, as the one that's the leader in the room, that's hiring and has the control to hire somebody, you have a different responsibility. That's just my point of view. Yes. But I agree with you. Use some discretion during an interview process. This is your opportunity to reveal the best parts of you in an interview, and your personal issues should not be revealed during this time.
Yeah, and for this one, your reason for looking for a new job shouldn't be,
yes, it shouldn't be revealed.
Correct. Right. So switching careers or starting a new business in a few years, right? So I had someone say, yeah, I'm looking to do this job for 2 years and then I'm going back on my own to begin to do that job. And it was a marketing job. So she's taking a marketing job in her interview response so that she can learn for 2 years and then start her own business. And then she was surprised she didn't get the job.
Right.
So you mean I'm going to train you to be my competitor?
Right.
And you're only going to be here 2 years after I train you.
If off the top of your head, you could share with us what percentage of people who are actually interviewing for positions at a corporation or any other type of organization are actually looking to transition in 2 years. There's a large percentage of people in the workforce, at least in the United States, that probably have that expectation.
Yeah, this is not, I'm going to work 30 years and get a golden watch.
Right.
Right. This is, the average person in a job is what, 3 years? So they're jumping around. And so you have a different generation that's not as patient as older generations in looking for promotion. So they don't get what they want. Immediate gratification, I'm jumping.
Right.
That's okay, right? People expect that, but you may not want to say it, right?
No, you don't. So switching careers, starting to start a new business, or as showing that, or providing that information to inside the interview is a big no. This is the time where you want to just kind of not sell, but persuade the person that is in the interview that you're very interested in this whole new idea that the corporation is, and how you want to buy into their brand and their organizational culture, and just want to be a part of their whole entire organizational brand. Yeah. So its entirety.
Just buy in, fake it till you make it, but don't get too honest on what you're going to be doing personally. That could be your goal, just may not be able to say it.
Act passionate about it.
Yeah, be passionate.
Be passionate about it.
As much as possible.
As much as possible, yeah.
Passionate.
So number 4.
Don't beg for a job. Don't tell the person on the other end that I need a job.
Don't tell them you need a job, even though you need a job.
There's 2 pieces. The first piece is I'm looking for a job for a better opportunity. Right. And that's why I'm here. And I have a job. And I have security in my job, but I'm looking for a better opportunity. That's one thing. I don't have a job and I'm looking for an opportunity. That's great. I don't have a job and I need to pay my rent tomorrow and I got to be able to pay off my car, and that I'm struggling because I got fired or laid off and I'm desperate to get a paycheck in 2 weeks. It's all
not the time or the place to express the desperate need of finances.
When you're desperate, if you're desperate and say, you have a car, and the person on the other side that's negotiating the price finds out that you're desperate and you need to sell it within hours and you're the only one there, the price is going to go significantly down. If you're in the interview and you're begging and they know that you're against the wall, then the value of you will go down and the less chance you'll get it. It is the human nature.
Right.
It's our bias. Right?
Yeah, again, this is a very strategic thing that you should consider when looking to obtain a new gig. Just be very discreet about these types of details. In an interview, you should be focused on what the interviewer needs to know about you, period. Just stick to that one idea and you are already doing better. Do not reveal too much information that will not help them make their decision.
Absolutely. So we got number 5.
Number 5. And I was a little bit weary of putting this on the list, but I think it's a necessary thing to discuss. Your age.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you want to be careful.
Yes.
You know, don't begin to talk about, and I think we talked about it earlier in this video, but not to be talking about I'm 55 years old and I have this and I'm at, just
not that an issue or not an issue that you are 55 years old, but saying it brings a level of liability maybe, or you're bringing attention to the wrong details. I think you being in the interview in itself and you winning that interview, you actually won. You got in the door and now you're selling yourself. And a lot of these details that you talk about and that we're bringing up earlier on in this conversation has already been revealed on your application, has already been revealed in your past work history.
Correct.
I mean, you can kind of infer someone's age just by looking at what in details they've already provided.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not your age, it's your experience. And don't talk about your age, talk about your experience. Right. I have 20 years experience doing X, Y, and Z. Not I'm 55 and I'm doing this for a while. Maybe not the right response. So stay away from your age and just talk about your years of experience. And if you don't have a lot of experience and you're at a younger age, just talk about the knowledge that you have on the subject. Just because you may not have worked in that field doesn't mean you don't have knowledge of it. You've studied books, you maybe looked at YouTube videos, you took certifications. So highlight what you've done and how it got you ready to be at that table for that opportunity.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that, Dr. J. I think that once you start to focus on what the whole purpose of the interview is, and that is to get to know you as a professional, you as who has had this 20 years or 10 years of experience, you who has the certifications, that's the stuff that you should be talking about.
That's the magic.
That's it.
That's the magic.
And that's how you win.
That's the magic. So number 6.
When you plan to retire,
please don't go and interview me like I got about 3 more years left. And then I'm going to go out here and retire. I had a great career. This is my last stop.
Yeah. I think that's a big no-no.
Please don't do
Even
that.
if it's true. It's a big no-no. Yes.
I had a person come in and said, and he was an engineer. He was like, yeah, I've been doing this for about 3 decades. I got about 2 more years left, just trying to get a couple more years in so I can save up my Florida second home where I want to retire.
Right.
So I just need an income for 2 more years. Well, you just coming to me for an income?
Oh no.
You don't really value our mission, vision, value statement. You don't believe in organization. We just need 2 years of pay. Please don't be that person.
Right, of course. This might be valuable information for the employer to know. Of course, you want to always be very careful about what information you do and don't share with your employer, because you do have, like I said earlier in this conversation, have a responsibility to be honest, but only to an extent, not to a fault, right? So I think it is important that your potential employer knows these facts. I just don't think it's necessary that this is the time and opportunity, because even if you do plan on retiring in that moment, we change as professionals all the time. You might get into the job as somebody who's thinking that you may retire within 3 to 4 years, but you get into this position, you find a new life, a new way of thinking, or you find a new motivation to continue to work. So you may want to work that position for another 10 years. So don't count yourself out of the game by setting yourself up for some setbacks by saying, I only want to be here for 3 years.
Yeah, maybe say that a year after you get off of probation. You got a year and they need a succession plan. Maybe you do that then, but maybe not during the interview. That's a tip for today. And if you agree with that tip, let us know in the comment suggestion. Put a thumbs up in the comment suggestion. Let us know if you like it. If you don't, put a thumbs down and give us that feedback. We always like good feedback. Number 7.
Number 7, let's revealing medical issues in an interview. What's that?
You may have a short-term, long-term, temporary medical challenge. You're pregnant, you have a long-term illness, or in the short term, you may have intermittent leave that you may have to use because you're dealing with some issues. All that is great, but in your initial interview, you may not want to talk about that.
Right.
If the recruiter, if you have a recruiter going through that process with you, then yes, you may want to, if they ask, you may want to disclose that. I'm going to be honest. But if you're going down and you're sitting in an interview for the first time, you have no offer, you have anything on the table, you may want to leave that available outside, because at the end of the day, I don't believe it's legal to ask that question.
No.
All right. And then so if it's not, they won't be able to ask it. And so it shouldn't be a determination. But if you offer it, that's a whole different story. They may not go into questions, but then they may deliberate and see if that's going to be a good fit for their organization. So
yes, I think this is a legal and ethical question. I don't know if the interviewer has the the requirement of letting the interviewer know that they're going through medical issues. I don't think it's the responsibility at that stage in the interview process. I do believe that at some point, if they move on to the second round or they move on to the next level of the interview process and you start to narrow down as a potential candidate, there may be some responsibility that that person has to disclose their medical condition.
Let me just say this, we're not legal experts. Entertainment purposes only. Take it with a grain of salt.
But ethically.
But I can tell you this, hold on.
Yeah.
I can tell you this. I'm not telling them nothing until I get an offer letter.
I like it.
Period.
I like it.
If you don't have an offer letter, now if I have an offer letter and I tell them,
have different decisions
and then if they rescind my offer letter based on my medical condition, then I got a different conversation that we can have, right? You already crossed the line if you do that. So I'm waiting until I get an offer letter. You do what it is that you do. This is only for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, and the medical issue also pertains not only to you as the interviewee, it also pertains to, like, say you have a personal medical condition. Also, when considering not sharing this information, of course, don't share information also about the family commitments that you have. Like if you take care of an elderly or aging family member, or you have a small child, if this doesn't come up, it's okay. Because again, like I said in the beginning of our conversation, we are focusing on things that's going to help you get the position, and you are only sharing the information that the interviewer needs to know. And you're trying to win. That's the whole goal. Win. And winning is not oversharing on certain details that they don't need to know.
Be careful. So we have number 8, and that's telling the employers about a disability. Now, it's American Disability Act, ADA laws. And again,
educational purposes only.
We're not attorneys. We're not attorneys, so we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But what we will tell you is when you're in an interview, focus on your skill set, your value add, market yourself, but do not focus on some, your weaknesses, if you will.
Right.
And a disability is not a weakness, it's just part of who you are. But just select the right time in which you disclose that information.
Well, I think sharing, if I may, sharing that you have a disability is a little bit nuanced, meaning that you may, or it may not, depending on whatever disability you have no impact on the job that you're interviewing for. So it's hard to make the decision in the moment of what information needs to be shared and what information not. But definitely, like most information about you personally, is shared during the job application process, where you share those type of details in that stage. But during the interview, let's focus on the job. Let's focus on what I can do for the organization, how we both can partner or be a part of each other's growth.
Yeah, so that 1000% agree. Number 9.
Politics.
And I'm going to add religion.
Okay, I like that.
Politics and religion. Stay away from them. Everybody has a different, no matter what you think about the person, no matter how much research you think, no matter if you read their Twitter feed and you think you know what their political take is, stay away from politics and stay away from religion. The reason why is it's just a very tender conversation.
Yeah.
Those things cause war, right? They cause, human suffering. Those things cause break up families and friends. And it definitely can cause you not to get a job, right?
Absolutely.
So stay away from, political thoughts and opinions, and stay away from if where you can, and I know, people have different ways of expressing their religion, but where you can, you may want to stay away from that topic in the interview.
I think the important thing to consider is if you do your proper research before you apply to any position or decide to enter into any joint venture or partnership or purchase a company, whatever the case may be, before you make that commitment to be a part of this interview process, you have to do your research. And if they do not, or the organization does not align with your values, then that's something that you find pre-interview, not post-interview or during the interview. This is something that you should really research and look into and be equipped before, and don't accept the interview if it doesn't fit your needs, because you're interviewing the interviewer or the organization as well.
That's excellent you say that. You are interviewing them as much as they are interviewing you, and if they don't fit your needs, you got to know when to walk, because you potentially will get yourself in a situation where it could cause you more harm by getting the job than good. Every organization is not a fit for you. Every job is not a fit for you. Every boss is not a fit for you. And so you have to make that proper assessment whereby, you're interviewing them, especially in this day and age when unemployment is really low. There's a lot of opportunities out there potentially for people, some more than others. So when you have those opportunities to be selective, be selective.
Right, and be well informed, because the organization doesn't have to fit your needs. You have to essentially fit their needs, because they're the ones in control of the package, your employment package. So you want to make sure that you are aligned before you get into the interview. All
right, last but not least, the final number 10.
That you should not talk about?
That you should not talk about.
Wow, this is a surprising one for me.
Don't talk about your money.
Wow.
Now, and the reason why I say that is, number one, going into the interview, you don't know a lot about the organization. You don't know a lot about the number of candidates. You don't know a lot of leverage points that you would have in an initial interview stage.
That's true.
But you definitely will understand it if you get an offer.
Yes.
And he's like, and you were the only candidate. All the other ones, they were good, but they were nowhere near where you're at. Well, listen, if I think this thing is going to pay me $90,000, I'm starting to ask for 120, 130. I'm going for more money, and the reason why I'm going for more money, I have more leverage because I know there wasn't a lot of competition, and I'm probably the only card in the deck and qualified person ready to go. That then now, if they don't hire me, they may have to wait 2, 3, 4 months to get somebody else. So they may be desperate.
Right.
Desperation causes leverage.
Yeah. Leveraging is very important. And again, just like the other recommendations we made in this video, do your research. Know how much you command. Know how much you've earned in the past. Bring that to the table. Understand how much you are willing to work for and how much you're not willing to work for. Know your worth.
I mean, when I first started out my career, and this was a few decades ago, again, I'm telling my age, but I was making $40,000 or so, and then I had a job opportunity. It was a huge jump. I didn't think I was going to get, but I went after it. And we'll talk about videos like that in the future around, don't be scared. And I know Dr. C did a video a few weeks ago around that.
Right.
But one of the things that I knew is when they gave me that offer, I knew I had leverage. So where I thought it would be a $50,000 or $60,000 job,
you went in for the kill.
I went for the kill, got $85,000. My income more than double. We was in Hawaii, And so I knew where I had leverage, and I ran the price up.
Right.
I ran the price up.
And that's a good lesson.
You pay me. Got to pay transit. You got to pay everything, food.
But you also have to know when to take the leap of faith. It's better to have, what is it? I don't know what the saying is. I don't want to say. But it's better to have something than not to have something at all. So be careful not to overcompensate yourself and you're not able to perform according to that level that you're trying to sell.
Well,
what happens is if you negotiate and say, oh, I am this and I am that, and I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then you get on the job and you don't meet those expectations that you sold when you first got that position.
Well, you may not be around long then. Let's assume
let's be realistic about the numbers that we're trying to put forward.
Listen, you go for everything that you can go for.
Absolutely.
You get one time to negotiate it. You never underestimate your value, and you push the cards. Don't ever take, and I will tell everybody this, I tell everybody that I support and mentor, never take the first offer.
That's good advice.
Ever take your first offer.
Advice. But also, on top of that advice, perform.
No, you got to perform. If you go to a used car salesman, they say, I give you this car, I'm giving it away for $10,000. It's the best deal you get in town.
Right.
First you're going to say, that's great, but can I get it for $6,000?
Yes.
And then he's going to say, or she's going to say, no, I'll give you for $9,500. But if you would have took that first offer, you would have never got to $9,500.
Yeah.
And so you have to negotiate, never take that first offer.
And I definitely think that's a discussion for another video.
If you want us to talk about that in a future video, let us know in the comment section. We want to create the content that you want.
Yes.
And we're great.
Negotiations.
Yeah. So no, we want to create that content. And so this video, I just want to summarize our 10 guides to avoid and common mistakes people make in interviews. So I'm going to go down them real quick, Dr. C.
Yes.
Don't give your personal information.
Yes.
Don't tell the people the reason why you're looking for a job and get too personal about your past employer.
Right.
Switching the careers or starting a new business in the next few years. Don't tell them what your future plans are.
Right.
Let them think that your future plans is that you're going to commit to that organization long term. And if you don't feel comfortable, just stay away from, your future plans unless it's asked, and just let them know that it's about growth.
Right.
Right? Because that's all it is. Whether you're starting a business or growing, it's about growth.
Right.
Don't talk about your age. Don't beg for a job. Don't let them know when you plan to retire.
Right.
Right? Don't reveal too many details about your medical conditions. Don't talk, when to talk to your employees about any disabilities. Politics, religion, stay away. And salary expectations, make sure that you say that until it's time to really negotiate. And you can always say it's just negotiable. So that's our 10 strategies. That's our 10 mistakes that we want to highlight that you make. Anything else?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this speaks to a greater conversation as well. Always just craft your story. Everybody has a story, and everybody can use that story to really obtain anything that they want. I don't think that this is a conversation about limiting yourself. This is a conversation about how you want people to see you as a professional, and what are the best strategies you can use to obtain what you want in the working field.
So those are our tips. If you like them, please let us know in the comment section. But in addition to that, if you stayed this long in the video, and I hope that you did, thank you.
We appreciate you.
We appreciate you. Thank you for supporting us. But more importantly, hit that subscribe button.
Like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like our content, please let us know, because we want to continue bringing you great content that helps you build you and make you a better professional, and helps your personal life and gives you a work-life balance that you're really looking to seek. We have so much more content to give, but we need some feedback as well.
Absolutely. So I'm Dr. J.
I'm Dr. C.
And thank you for watching the Two Doc Minds.
Thank you.